Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shells, debt slaves, search peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm usually welcome. So this story came out, and it's kind of a small story in the scheme of things, but it has pretty huge implications in a way. And that's the CEO of Second Harvest Heartland Food Bank in Minnesota, Allison O'Toole. And it was discovered that she was paying herself $721,000 a year. And so the components of this, of course, are the fact that during the pandemic, a lot of extra money was doled out to food banks and other services. And so it became this big cash cow, this big slush fund. And so a lot of these people that got this money, this flood of money, took advantage of the situation. And in this case, paid herself $720,000 a year, $721,000 a year to run a food bank, for fuck's sake. And so this is one food bank in one state. And so if you look at all the food banks operating in Minnesota and you look at the food banks operating in all the states of the United States, I'm sure this isn't a lone incident. And so when the easy money comes in, it's just too hard to resist. But this is also something we've seen before. I did a video about 10 years ago about charities in general. And we find out that a lot of these charities, the amount of money actually going to help people is pennies on the dollar compared to operating costs, and then the amount of money these CEOs pay themselves. So this is something that's been baked in the cake for many, 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 many years. And it's a sad commentary. And it's a really easy scam because, of course, you get lots of people who have good intentions who donate to these food banks and homeless advocates in all the major cities are also part of this scam. And then we even have giant operations like Goodwill. There are so many of them. So it's really easy to bilk millions of citizens out of money, and they're eager to give it for what appear to be good causes. And then it ends up just being this huge slush fund cash cow for the people running these operations. And as I mentioned, a lot of these advocate companies that operate in cities like here in Seattle, they're cash cows for the people running them. And of course, in a city like Seattle, the homeless problem isn't addressed, and somebody's making money off of other people's misery, and that's the heart of it. And we've seen a lot of very large charities that have the same issues. And I pointed that out as I mentioned in a video I did 10 years ago. I was shocked at how many very notable charities that help veterans and the disabled, the blind, and the elderly. They just end up being cash cows and scams. And it's really a sad commentary. And this is a perfect example of that. And now we're in a situation, too, where the Trump administration is cutting back on a lot of the money that goes to these places like food banks. And in fact, $500 million being cut back from a lot of these food banks. So if somebody like Allison O'Toole got in while the getting's good, and then as soon as she discovered, of course, she just resigns, and she doesn't have to face the music. She soaked up a bunch of money from this charity, in this case, a food bank, and is off and running. And so it was just like I say, a scam and a cash cow for her. And it's just sad that we live in a country where we have so many people running charities that turn them into huge money-making operations for themselves. And it also shows the pitfalls. A great example of that, of course, is the national organization work within the government of USAID. It's just another version of this where it ends up being these pet projects. And a lot of people have these fake charities, and they soak up all this government money and they make a killing, and then they disappear with their ill-gotten gains. And so we see that, with national organizations like USAID, and then we see it with even with food banks. So pretty despicable, and I hate seeing this. And in the end, the money's going to dry up from the federal government, and the people going to food banks are still going to be hurting. Well, some CEO, and imagine that, $721,000 a year. How much of that money could have made the food bank serve a lot of people that are really hurting. That's a lot of money, and it just gets put in somebody's pocket, and that's just how it goes. It's really shameless, and that's where we are. And such an easy target too. People giving money to even these food banks and food, and a really noble cause, and somebody has to fuck it up and be a dick and enrich themselves and then take off and sleep like a baby at night. I'm useful idiot, don't you be one too?